Hey, Schuylar, how are you?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Fantastic. It's a privilege to speak with you. Thanks very much for your time today.
You know it, man. Anytime.
We're absolutely thrilled that you're performing at the upcoming Soundwave Festival in Australia. But first of all, congratulations on Heavy Fruit. It's a fantastic achievement.
Thank you.
Pleasure indeed.
Yeah, we're really excited to be coming up.
Fantastic. Heavy Fruit's such a beautiful, successful blending of styles. Would you select one genre to accurately describe the music?
I think that we call it rock and roll usually. Mainly because it's hard. I mean, we grew up in heavy metal maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't like all the genres people put on shit today. Call it what you will. We're definitely a different kind of band, I guess, but I think it falls more under heavy metal than anything, because it's loud and abrasive, but we have a lot of pop rock elements to us too. So it's I would never call us a pop band, but I think that some of it could be categorized as that.
Absolutely. Do you think it was the long break that resulted in such a fantastic album?
I don't know if the break had much to do with it. I think it was finding the right elements for this new period of our band. The break definitely, I won't say it helped it or hindered it at all, but I know that it was needed at the time, and I don't think if we were to have gone right back in the studio after touring It Hates You that we would have made the same dynamic of an album, because I don't think we were ready to do that, and we didn't set out to have any amount of time off. It was just it happened when it was right, and
sure.
I think that's how we've kind of been with almost all of our records. So it's been easier for us to figure things out when you have enough time to process what you're doing.
That makes sense. Although I have to ask, what's $1,000 broom look like?
Oh, $1,000 broom? Man, you know how hard it is to clean a house? I'd pay $1,000 for a broom if I did it myself.
Absolutely. Look, you started while you were in school in the late 1990s, which must seem a massive lifetime ago now. What was it like emerging as a band in North Carolina?
North Carolina, not North Carolina per se, but our town, Wilmington, is at the end of an interstate called I-40, and it goes from one side of the country to the other. So we literally, in our town, have the 2,630-some miles to Barstow, California, which is the other side of the interstate. But when you're touring through North Carolina, we're on the coast, and there's no real reason to come to Wilmington as a band unless you want to go to Wilmington. You don't really go through as a tour package. It doesn't, there are other places on the highway that you can hit in North Carolina that you probably get a bigger crowd at. So I wouldn't say that we had the best position of being noticed or being picked up by another band, because not a lot of bands came through, and if they did, it was few and far between. It's definitely better than it used to be, but
sure.
I don't think it was much different than it is now. I mean, we were eager, and we decided the second that we graduated high school that we were going to go on the road. So we booked a little shitty 4-day tour and drove down to Florida. And I think out of the 4 days, there were all 4 shows fell through. And we ended up playing at a coffee shop, and then picking up another show, getting added to a show, went home and still had a blast, because we were young and traveling. And then when we finally, we would play just any show we could. When we finally signed a record deal, they put us on the road with 3 other bands, and we were signed as part of a weird 3-package deal with 3 other bands, and all the promotion went to all 3 bands, and we would go on tour at the same time together, and that was kind of the opening run of our contract. And so that was even different than a lot of bands get these days, but you know, it was still what happens today, that they'll throw you on the road and be like, here you go, let's see if you can handle it, you know, sink or swim. And we floated.
Absolutely, in a beautiful way too. You've achieved such a brilliant sound and stamped absolute authority with Heavy Fruit. What music has influenced your sound as a group over the years?
Well, together, the only bands we can really agree on is like White Zombie and Pantera and Nirvana and, you know, like the stuff that we grew up on, like Soundgarden and the Pumpkins, like, you know, the 90s stuff that we all grew up listening to. What we listen to in the van most of the time is just like really nasty hip hop. Like, we're all kind of just, that's how we get ready, and that's what we're listening to most of the day is like 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne and Drake and, you know, all these like pop hip hop artists were really, I mean, we just get down on that a lot because it amps us up for what we're doing. But musically, like when we write, I think we try to wipe ourselves of anything like that. I mean, me and Adam grew up on, I was the goth kid and he was the black metal kid, so I was listening to Joy Division and Bauhaus and Sisters of Mercy, and he was listening to Cannibal Corpse and like 6 Feet Under and all that. But then I, you know, when we met, I like saw that he had the Cure sticker on the back of his car, and so it was just like, I'm 17 years old and I was into one line of music and he was into another line of music, and it was just like, what do you, like, there's something about this kid, you know, like this kid has something in him because he has a Cure sticker on the back of his car, and all he listens to is like the heaviest, most abrasive shit I've ever heard. So I think that's kind of how we started our lives together, which literally we've been friends for quite a while, and we've been making music for a long time. And I don't think there's ever a classification as far as that, because it's always going to be the juxtaposition of like, he brings out the most evil side of what I do, and I bring out the softer side of what he does. So we have always had that dichotomy of the band, and I think that's what makes us stand out, you know.
Absolutely, complement one another beautifully. You've been to Australia previously. How was last time's visit? Did you have a good time?
I had the most fun. I mean, it's been so long, and I still talk about that's the greatest tour I've ever done. We were lucky to be with 2 brilliant bands, you know, that have gone on to, you know, far surpass us, and then, you know, like the Amity Affliction and I Killed the Prom Queen are going strong still. And they took such good care of us and treated us nice, and, you know, even down to just like little things like, you know, the right spots to eat, or you know, one of the bands, I can't remember, somebody like rolled a joint in a piece of notebook paper for us because we were jonesing, you know, just like little things like that where you're just like, you're taken care of by your homies no matter where you are, because if you're in this game and you do this full time and you are a lifer, you know what it's about, and you know that you have to take care of your other brothers that are out there doing the same thing, you know. And it's not a lot of bands get that camaraderie and the way it used to be. And I just remember the second we stepped off the plane and got to these shows, it was just like, you know, like, oh, these are like-minded people, and the fans that are coming out they all know and they get it, and they're just like us. And it was a beautiful time, man. You have a beautiful country with really brilliant people, and they seem to be really excited about rock and roll, and they were then, and I'm sure they still are now. I mean, it's even like looking at Twitter and stuff, the response is overwhelming as to what's going on. So we can't be more thankful and, you know, humbled by the response and the fact that people are still down for us, and we're still, you know, we're ready to go.
Absolutely. I personally can't wait to catch you live. It'll be fantastic. What can we expect from your shows this time around?
Well, I was saying to another interviewer that we don't know our set times yet. So, I mean, granted, over the last 6 months, we've been touring pretty heavily. Like, we've done a lot. We've been on the road a lot, and we're playing anywhere from, like, you know, an hour and a half at a live set to an opening gig at a venue where we would direct support another band, then we'd play 45 minutes, or playing a festival where you might have 25 minutes. So our motto is to get in and play as many fucking songs as possible and like smash faces in as hard as we can in the amount of time that we have. So we have a bunch of different sets. We're still even learning, just because we have a few new members in the band. We're learning older songs that we could have on up our sleeve, but we'll have a damn good set. You got to pull out all the stops for festivals, especially if like the possibility of fucking Marilyn Manson walking by is there. Then I'm like, I got to be on my A game, dog. I like grew up listening to that dude, and like if like Corey Taylor and all of Slipknot is standing on the side stage and they're not wearing their mask, like how the hell am I supposed to know? You just better like be 100% every night. You be 100%. I mean, and that's the way you make it in the bit. You give 110% every night, and you play for 4 people, or you play for what, 50,000 people? How many people are projected of being at Soundwave this year? A whole lot.
A whole lot.
Quite a few. I'd say quite a few. You just always got to act like you're playing to quite a few.
Exactly, I've got to ask you, Stella, do you have a favourite track to perform live?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the China White tunes because they like have a deeper meaning to me. But recently, with the addition of Denny doing vocals, I've never had someone eager to sing with me on stage. So that in itself brought a lot of new ideas to our live show. Off the new album, Be Easy is really fun because Denny's so good at what he does, and he has a beautiful voice that I feel like we kind of complement each other in that way. And I literally have never had someone that's down to do harmonies and do backing vocals and do weird ideas that we have just for live stuff. So, there's a lot of songs that I may not have liked playing before Denny got in the band that now with him doing backup, it's like, oh, that's pretty awesome. So like, I don't know. I mean, we switch stuff around so much, it could go both ways. But like off the new album, of course, Heavy Fruit is really fun to play live because it's so wacky, and Be Easy is really kind of a funky song you can move to, and Denny's got good moves, and I like to think I got some moves. So like, we get a little party going, and it works out well.
Absolutely. Abracadabra Live is going to be an absolute highlight for me, I can assure you. Your announcement.
Yeah, that one is super fun. That one is super fun.
Your announcement to Soundwave 15 is thrilling for all of us, I can assure you, and a tremendous treat for your fans here in Australia. We can't wait for your visit. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope we can catch up for another interview, perhaps in person while you're here.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah, just come by. We'll high five and jab a little.
Indeed, slap butts and bond even further.
You know it.
Thanks, Schuylar. Have a good day, mate.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Peace.